Perfect. Hello, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jasmine Knighton. I'm one of the optimizers here at Vine Skills. I help folks get launched into FileVine as well as FVDA and bring you these free help sessions every Wednesday. I'll let Danielle introduce herself. We'll do some housekeeping and then we can jump right into Customs Editor.
Hi guys, I'm Danielle. I am also an optimizer here at Vine Skills. Previously worked in law firms and came over to Vine Skills to kind of work on FileVine full-time with other firms. So nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah.
So if you all do have any questions throughout, feel free to use that Q&A feature right down at the bottom of your screen. We'll go ahead and answer those questions in real time there for you as well. Again, I added our website as well as Danielle and my email addresses to the chat so that you all can reach out if you have any questions. Perfect. If there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go ahead and get started on Customs Editor. So Customs Editor is located in your advanced menu. Some of you may not have this because you have to give individual permissions for the advanced features. But if you do have it, you'll see down here we have Customs Editor. Before we pop into Customs Editor, I'm actually going to go to the contact setup because this is kind of a branch off from Customs Editor, but still a customizable area, similar to Customs Editor, where you can add fields and widgets, or sorry, just fields into contact setup. You can add additional pages here or tabs to kind of group your info. Like Customs Editor, you're able to add fields here. You'll see all of the field types located here for you to be able to select. The one thing that differentiates, or one of the things that differentiate between contact setup and Customs Editor, is that you're not able to make any of the fields contingent in your contact card. So yes, no's are just that. They don't hide or reveal anything there. The benefit of kind of adding items into your contact card is that if this person ever has another case with you, or you utilize them in other areas, you won't have to re-ask for this info. You're not having to fill it out every time. The contact card follows the person. So you'll want to remember to only put in things that relate to a person and not, excuse me, and not a specific case. So items like case number wouldn't be a good fit for the contact card because that's case specific, but social security number is on an individual basis. And so you can add that in here. You also have the option to choose which contact types that this field shows up for. So I guess this is kind of like a little conditional or contingent formatting. But down here, you're able to say, hey, I really only need this to show for these individual contact types. To add additional contact types, you just start typing in the name of the contact type that you want and you select it there. You'll press update, and then anytime judge is selected as a contact type, you'll be able to see this field there as well. You can do the same thing when you're first creating a field as well. And you can move these around. So it says move to. If you create additional tabs here at the top, you're able to move this over into a different tab if you'd like. You are able to change those contact types that I kind of just touched on here under types and labels. You'll see a list of contact types located here. You're able to select if you want the date of birth and date of death to show up for each contact type here. You can add a new one here, and you can remove using the trash can icon here. You'll see the ones that are labeled default are grayed out. So if you have this tied to any of your FileVine templates as the main kind of contact type, you won't be able to delete those out. So just a note there. You're also able to edit the phone labels and choose if you want texting or faxing to this number. Same thing with address labels and emails. You're able to change those around. You can change the icons there as well and go from there. The only thing on the contact template that you're not able to edit is that contact info and associated projects tab. Those are built in. The only thing that you're able to change on that contact info is showing that date of birth and date of death, like I showed in that types and labels. Are there any questions about the contact card? you have any, feel free to drop them in and I can pop back over into here. The other, we'll hop over into customs editor so that you all can see that. Again, similar to kind of your contact setup. But customs editor allows you to change or edit any of the templates that you have. So any of those customized sections can be changed, edited, managed through customs editor. So you'll go ahead and choose your project type. Hopefully you don't have as many as us, but I'll just go ahead here and choose our personal injury template here. If I go to the gear up here, I'm able to change the name of this template, the abbreviation that you see in the project hub. If this is visible to the org, essentially allowing folks to create a new project from this template. And if you favorite it, it adds it to the top of the list so that, again, if you do have as many project templates as us, it's a little bit easier to find. You can add some internal notes just so that folks know when to utilize this template. And this is where that default contact type that I talked about shows up. So because I've chosen client here, I'm not able to delete that as a contact type in the contact setup. Just below this gear is where all of your sections live. You're able to create a new section just up here. You'll click on that. You can add whatever name that you want. It does need to be unique, so you can't have two intakes. You would have to change the name just a little bit there. And then you can change the icon here as well. You're able to select your section visibility. Always visible means that it's always going to show. Always hidden means you won't see it when you're going to create a new project. And initially visible and initially hidden allow you to toggle those sections on and off through managed sections so that if you have, for instance, trial sections that you're not utilizing for every single case, but do need them when you do go to trial on those cases, you're not having to see it in the sections, confuse people, or just to have additional sections that you're not actually using. So you'll want to make sure that you go ahead to select visibility if that's something that you would like. And then you'll choose your section type. The built-in sections are sections that you're not able to change the content and how it's pulled in. FileVine kind of has these standard sections. The only thing that you're able to change on these is the name and the icon. You're not able to add any fields or widgets to these sections. If you want to do a custom section, you'll go ahead here to custom, and then you'll choose if you want to do a collection section or a static section. Collection sections are those ones that say add an item. They allow you to add multiple iterations or have the flexibility to add in as many medical providers, for instance, that you may have in a specific case. There are some limitations with collection sections as far as how the information is able to be utilized throughout FileVine. So you'll also want to keep that in consideration when you're kind of choosing which type of section to choose from there. Once you've selected your section type, you'll press save and you'll be able to add new fields or widgets in there. If you want to update a section that you already have, excuse me, you'll go ahead and click into the section. Before I do that, excuse me, you'll want to go ahead or you have the option to show a preview. This allows you to see what the section will look like on the front end with all of the contingent items kind of visible there. We'll give it a minute to load. There's quite a few kind of items in these sections here, but it will populate. That way you can kind of see what you're working with. The thing that I do want to note anytime I'm in Customs Editor is I like to have a case open in that project type. That way I can see where I'm going to be making edits, how it's going to look when I'm actually going through. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this intake section. And we'll see here the intake preview loaded. I'm able to see all of those fields just so that I can get a better idea of kind of how things are looking. Once you click into the section, you'll see all of the individual fields and where they're located. The numbers here in these brackets indicate the row and column within the section that this individual field or widget lives. If you're wanting to add additional fields, let's say right before incident type, in between incident date and incident type, you can do that. I recommend going through and using Command or Control F to find the fields a little bit easier so that you're not having to scroll. You can see this scroll bar is quite tiny there, but we'll go ahead and do date of incident. Maybe it's incident date. So let me go ahead and type that in. Perfect. It's located there, and incident type is located there. If I wanted a field in between the two, there's currently no space. This is on row 12, column 1. File vine starts at 0, but that's the first kind of position there. And then the next one is falling right next to that. In order for me to create space here, I want to move this incident type down 1. So here you'll click into the field that you want to edit, advanced properties, and I can change my order in row here to number 2 and then press update. Once I do that, there'll be space on 2-1 for me to be able to go in to add a new field or widget. And then I would just, again, advanced properties, row 12, order number 1, so that my field shows up exactly where I want it to. There are different fields and widget types. We'll go over those briefly now, just so that you all have a better understanding of when to use them. One thing to note in Customs Editor is that once you create a field and field type, it is very difficult to change the field type. So if you originally went in and selected single line for your field type, but really you want a drop-down list so that there's consistency across kind of all the responses, you would have to delete this field and try to re-add it. It gets really complicated, especially if there's already data in those fields. You're not able to delete them. You're only able to obsolete them. So you want to be cautious when you're coming in here into Customs Editor to add any field types. So you'll want to do this first. All of your field types are listed here. At the top, we have amount fields. These amount fields are connected to these calculated currencies just under here. These amount fields allow you to add in dollar amounts, decimals, numbers, so on and so forth. And then these calculated currencies or calculated fields allow you to type in formulas, again, connected with these, to populate the mathematical equation, which is really nice so that you all aren't having to do mental math, that there's no human error kind of in that calculation. It's pulling from these and popping out exactly what that should be. So would recommend kind of using these anywhere that you need that math option to be in your build. Case number allows you to add a unique case number. If you don't want to utilize FileVine's numbering system, you can go ahead and add your own case number in there. Date fields allow you to add a date. It doesn't calendar it, it doesn't send you reminders. It's just a date you want tracked. So date of incident might be a good date field, date of intake, things that you're not wanting, again, reminders about or to be calendared. These deadline with reminder fields do the opposite of that date field. It does calendar it for you and also sends you reminders based off of a reminder schedule. I'm going to go ahead and click into this just so that you can see it looks a little bit different. There's a reminder schedule option here. And if you see just over here, it's a little bit grayed out since I'm in this box, but you're able to create different reminder schedules based off of deadlines. So if I had a statute of limitations that I wanted to get added into here, and I typed in my field prompt as SOL, and then I come into here, we've created quite a few reminder schedules. I'm able to select the specific reminder schedule that I want. Reminder schedules allow you to change the number of days that you'll be notified about this deadline. So whether it's 30 days before, 20 days before, 10 days before, maybe you want all 3 of those and 60 days before, you can go ahead and add those into reminder schedules and then be notified as long as you're subscribed to the project that this deadline is coming up. Drop-down lists allow you to have preset data points. So maybe it's state that you're wanting as a drop-down. This allows for consistency across the board, and it allows the system to understand that California is going to be the same across the board. If you were to do just an empty text field and folks were able to freehand type in the state, you might get variations with some people doing uppercase, some people doing lowercase, and the system's not able to recognize that those are the same thing. So you do want to make sure that when you can use a drop-down list, you utilize it, again, for that consistency, especially when reporting. File attachments, I rarely use. It's limiting because it only allows you to upload one file as the attachment. Multiple file attachment list allows you to add multiple, and again, gives you that flexibility so that even if you just have one now, maybe down the line, you'll have more than one. And again, it's very difficult to delete or edit a field once it's been kind of added in there. And especially for these file attachments, you're going to have things attached to them. So it just eliminates kind of any forward stress that you may have there. These file attachments do allow you to add auto tags, meaning that anytime something is uploaded into this field on the front end or within the project, it automatically tags it kind of with whatever you'd like. So if I say med records and I create that tag, and then I add my folder structure and I want this to go into my medicals tab, I'm able to do that. So again, anytime a file is uploaded to this, it automatically tags it with this and will automatically put it into a folder. This is super nice for when you all are having to manage documents. It eliminates a step for you all from having to, go into your main folder and then move it there. So I would recommend kind of doing this with any of your file attachments there. Scroll just a little up, sorry about that. Person fields are those contact cards that we went over that you're able to customize. This person field allows you to add one individual. This person list allows you to add multiple contact cards. Project link and project link list allow you to link projects together. This is a little bit more complex. FileVine recommends typically, especially if you're working with a partner already, to have them kind of work with you to get this project link and project link list situated there. Then you have your text multiple lines large, single line, and single line list. Multiple lines gives you those big text boxes. Large are even bigger than the multiple line. Single line is just one thin bar across. That doesn't really allow you to expand it. So if you have a long sentence, it kind of just trails along the field. So if you're going to have something that's a little bit more than, a few words, multiple lines is probably your better option for these text fields. The text fields are one of the only fields that do allow you to switch once you've created it. So you can go from a single line text field to a multiple line without having to remove the field or obsolete it or do any of that background work. Single line list allows you to add multiple single line kind of options there. These can be rearranged or deleted. So be cautious as you utilize these, especially if you're trying to tie it one-to-one to something. They can be moved around, deleted, which would break that one-to-one connection that you all would normally see. This URL allows you to upload a web URL so that you all can just click a button and it will open in a new tab, which is really nice if you're constantly referencing certain sites. It's easy to have just in your build already. You'll just see that you can type in a field prompt, and on the front end is where you'd actually put that URL in. URL list allows you to have multiple URLs. And then the yes, no allows you to say, hey, for this question, it's either a yes, no, or unknown. If you just want it to say yes, no, you do have to require the field. We haven't talked about these options down here, but I'll kind of briefly go over those now. Required means that you're not able to save the section until you've made a selection here. So for yes, no, there wouldn't be an unknown option. It would just say yes or no, and you have to fill it out. The thing to remember about required fields is you don't want to overuse them, because then you may get into a situation where staff is just selecting whatever they need to get through the page and not actually doing due diligence to fill them out properly. So be cautious when utilizing those. Locked fields, and if you ever forget, there's little question marks here along the side to let you know kind of what they do. Locked fields allow only project admins to be able to edit it. And so if you don't want, everybody being able to access that specific field, you can lock it. They can still see the content in it. They just won't be able to edit or update it. And then obsolete allows you to essentially make a field so that you don't see it anymore, as an option to be able to fill out. If you obsolete a field after there's already been data in it, that field and data will still show in all of your prior projects. But for any new projects, you won't see this field as an option at all. And then just above that is visibility. This allows you to make items contingent. So for instance, we'll see our incident type. If I select dog bite, that weather and road conditions went away. Let me go ahead back and you'll see it popped up. This field is contingent on incident type being motor vehicle collision. You'll see here in our incident types, there's a few with stars next to it. That's kind of a workaround for visibility because right now the visibility is only able to be off of one type. So if I come into here and I say I want this field to be contingent off of that incident type, I have to say whether it equals, not equals, contains, or not contains one of these drop-down options here. If I need a field to show up for each one of these with a star on it, you're not really able to do that without adding those special characters. So for this, for instance, I would say show when the incident type contains that asterisk or star, and then the system knows, hey, anytime I see a star or asterisk in this dropdown, I know that this field needs to populate. You can use multiple characters. We try to use small ones so that it's not super noticeable as you all are going through. But that's kind of a workaround there. Contingent fields or utilizing kind of that visibility is super helpful so that your staff or you aren't overwhelmed with a ton of questions that don't even pertain to the specific topic that you all are trying or that you all have at hand. If you do use this visibility, you can go ahead and add internal notes here. We like to show or type out kind of this breakdown here. So show when incident type contains asterisk. And then that allows folks that are here in customs editor to see what that visibility is. So I know if I mess with that referral source, these fields are also going to be impacted. Or I know that this is only showing up when incident type contains other. So if somebody's like, hey, I thought that this field was in there, you're able to see you're not seeing it because it's contingent on something that you haven't selected yet. Would highly recommend using those internal notes. I'm going to pause there to see if there's any questions that have come up. I don't see any, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. But if you all do have questions, feel free again to pop them into that Q&A. So we went through all of the field types. We're going to go into widgets. Widgets are actionable items here. You do have a list of options here. This first one is your action button. For a lot of these widgets, you'll need to put them in place before you can actually go through and code the system to have that action that you're looking for. So your action buttons are a link button. This allows you to add in a URL that you'd like to go to when that button is selected. A lot of the times we'll utilize this to jump to other sections within your FileVine. So for instance, if in your intake, typically you get some basic medical information and you want to be able to track that. You don't want to have to duplicate information, right? You don't want to have to put it into your intake section and then have to go into the medical section, for instance, to put that in. So to avoid that, you can add jump buttons so that when you're going through to fill out your intake and they start giving you medical information, you can press a button to take you to the medical section, fill out the information that they're giving you, and then come right back into the personal injury section. Let's see, I don't know if we have one in here, but I'll just show you how you would go. Here, navigate to case summary. If I click on that, it opens in a new tab. It's going to take me to my case summary section in the same project. And then once I'm done filling out the information here, I can press X and I'm in the same exact place I was in my intake. In order to create this button, there's a little bit that you need to know. you'll need to come into a project and select the section that you're wanting to go to. Once you've done that, you'll take the URL and copy that there, and then go back into Customs Editor. Again, this is when it's beneficial to make sure that you have both tabs open so that you can easily toggle back and forth. Once you go ahead and put in your widget prompt, you can make the button name the same. You can change it, up to you. You can add an icon. Sometimes I like to put the same icon here as the section that I'm going to. So the little plus sign is what I would kind of add in here. And you can always filter your icons instead of having to go through. And then I'm going to paste that URL that I copied. There's one more step that you have to do, because if you see right here, there's a series of numbers. These numbers are your project ID. So this is specific to this project here. You don't want it to be specific to this project, because then every time you press this button, it will send you into this project's medical section, and that's not what you want. In order to change that, you'll use this little question mark here, and it will bring up some replacement codes for you. You're going to want to copy this second one here and then paste it where that project ID string of numbers is located. By doing this, the system is able to say, hey, we know the section that you want to go to, and we know that it needs to be unique for whatever project that we're currently in. You'll press create, and then that button will show up. Before you press create, you'll want to make sure that you press open in a new tab. This will allow it to open up in a new tab for you to maintain your same spot in whatever section that you originated from. The second action button is the send email button. This is super nice if you have standard emails that you send out that you're currently having to go through and edit. So if you have like the client's name that you're having to go through and edit, or provider information, date of incident, type of incident, things like that that you're now typing out manually for each client, you can make into an email template. You would go ahead and add to addressee, and this is where you would use replacement codes similar to that project ID one that we just did. In order to get those replacement codes, you'll see this link here. You'll click it and it'll open up replacement codes that you can utilize in this email button. These are similar to the DocGen fields that you'll have, but depending on what section you're in, similar to, again, DocGens, will determine which fields will actually populate. So for instance, if I have a button in my intake section, I'm not going to be able to pull in specific provider information from a collection section or anything like that, because the system isn't able to recognize which provider you want to pull from. But I can go ahead, similar to Customs Editor, Command F, and I want my client's email. So I'm going to go ahead and type in client email. And then I can copy this code here. I can go back into Customs Editor and I can paste that code right in there. Essentially, this allows the system to pull that first email address that's in the client contact card and generate this email here. You're going to want to CC the project. It eliminates a step for you all in having to go in and either manage it from your add-in or plugin, or CCing the project email manually. You'll create a subject, and then you'll go ahead and start typing in the body. So hello, and then I want my client's name to pop up here. Again, back into the replacement fields and say client full name. Can use the arrows to go through. Oops. I'm impatient, clearly. We'll click here and we can go back into Customs Editor and paste, comma, and then go ahead and type the rest of the body of the paragraph. Again, if I wanted date of incident, type of incident, I could say incident date, and I can pull that field in. It will populate the incident date for me into my body of my paragraph. I could say incident type. and go ahead and pull that information in once it thinks. So this is, again, really cool because it eliminates or simplifies for you all what you would have to bring in, or what you'd have to manually type into an email. These buttons, once you click them, they'll open up in whatever your email provider is, and then you're able to edit it. If you need to add additional information, you're able to add attachments, things like that, into the email from there. You're not able to add in standard attachments just yet here into the email section. But again, it's nice if you have consistent bodies that you're needing to go in and do there. And then the last option for your action button is task flow triggers. Task flow triggers allow you to have automated tasks that maybe you don't need for every project, but when you need them, it's going to be the same. You would come in here, you'd add a task flow trigger button, you'd say what you want that prompt to be, and then when somebody's in that section and presses the button, that's when that task will come through and automatically populate. You do have to come in and add the button before you can go into your task flow section to actually add the task associated with this button. Just below the action buttons is your DocGen buttons. Again, I rarely use the single DocGen option. I like to use the multiple. Again, gives you flexibility. If I click into this, similar to my multiple file attachment, I'm able to add a tag and folder here. Yes, there is a way to add in the project name. I believe the code is just squiggly bracket name. Let's see. Let me go this way.
Yeah.
It's just name, it's not project.
Yeah.
And then you can go in and it will generate whatever you've put here at the top. Good question. So for DocGens, again, similar to that multiple file attachment, you're able to add auto tags and auto move them to specific folders there. Instruction fields are really great. They allow you to help make your build a little bit more visually appealing. You can add in actual instruction text, so actual words, or you can use them to align your fields properly. If maybe in one line you only have 2 fields and the rest you have 3, and you don't want it to be a little bit wonky, you're able to go in and add in spacers. So let me show you. Here, these just plain text, you're not able to fill anything out, they just help guide you. These are instruction text. If you type in here, it will populate out here. If you're just wanting to do a spacer, so for instance, this person performing intake and date of intake, if these are the only 2 things on this, we can add a spacer here to make these align. If you don't, this second field would be somewhere over here. And so those spacers allow you, again, to make items a little bit more visually appealing so that when you're scrolling, you don't have, things in like a zigzag format. If you want to do a spacer, you won't type anything into this instruction text. You'll just name the widget. All of your fields per section do need to be unique. So you can't just say spacer and use that 15 different times. So I usually like to do spacer, if I could spell it. And then I like to say which row and order it is. So it tells me, hey, this needs to be unique. There's already another field with that in. Great, I want this to be on 13.2. Or you could just say, okay, this is my 4th spacer, so spacer 4. Somebody's already used that. So that's usually why I do the row and order, because it's a little bit less likely that that's already been taken. You can see here, spacer 3, located right here. There's no instruction text, and this only shows up when the client is a minor equals yes, because some other things on this line are also contingent upon that. And then if you have Outlaw, FVDA, doc assembly, they're all the same thing. If you have that, you'll utilize this. If you don't have it, you'll just ignore that one. Then right below that is your report fusion option. Again, always go with the multi-template. If you have a fusion, these can be placed anywhere, which is really nice. Your doc gens do need to be placed in the section where you're pulling the information from if it's a collection section. Doc gens can pull from any static section, but only the collection section that they live in. So make sure that you're making that distinction when you go through there as well. And then subsection headers, similar to your instruction fields, just help to make it look a little bit more visually appealing, break things up. This would be a subsection header, and so would this. You'll see throughout our build, we do have like purple text. These items are bolded here, things like that. If you're looking to do special formatting like that, even bulleted, you can go here to support.filevine.com and you can search for formatting. If you're one of the clients that's working with us, just ask whoever your optimizer is to kind of get you over our cheat sheet. But you'll see here, we have some formatting options for amount, custom data, things like that. There should be another one that's not merge field, format items and instructions. Here it is. So you'll see here, strike through. This is kind of what you need to use in order to get this as your output. This is super helpful if you're using customs editor, or even if you're going to do task flows, you can use these as well in there. And so I have it bookmarked here so that I can easily access it. Perfect. And then one thing I did forget to mention here in our field types is that our person fields also have the ability for you to limit to a contact type. So for instance, if I'm in a medical section and I only want to see providers from my contact card, I can limit it based off of those contact types that you can edit in Customs Editor. And I can say, I only want this to show for my client contacts. So if I go into, and again, I think we have one in medicals, which is why I keep referencing that. Add new item, provider, and I start typing in, there's no match found. If this was contingent on provider, it would say there's no match found for providers. Would you like to remove that filter? If I press yes, it will search my entire contact or my entire address book there. So it limits the number of kind of contact cards that you'll have to scroll through if you limit the contact type. And you can also limit to project contacts. That makes it even more granular. So it wouldn't search your full address book at first. It would only search for ones that you have in your current project. Perfect. Are there any questions that I can answer for you all? Just briefly. Okay, the other thing that I will note is if we go to one of our collection sections, so insurance, for instance, and it will show you just right here, custom fields collection section. It will tell you the section type. This is just custom fields, which means it's just a static section. And then you'll also have built-in sections. Again, those are the ones that you can just change the name and icon and no other content for. But if you go to one of your collection sections, just under that like visibility info, you'll see show collection items right before you go to add in additional fields or widgets. If you click into that, there's some options here for you to be able to change how your items are sorted, what the sort order is, and what those left and main right fields are. So if we're in our medical section, this field here and this field here are our insurance type or insurance company and insurance type. For our medicals, it's our provider and final balance due. You can change these. You'll see a long list here of all of the fields from that section. If you have an amount field, you'll also be able to show the total balance from all of them. So you'll see a total number up here in gray. And you can always change these. If you don't change it on the back end, you can always edit filter from up here, but may be helpful to kind of go through and add these in. The other thing that you can do with collection sections is you can add in a collection export. So you'll see we have a couple of options here. These allow you to go in, you'll run a report specific to your medical section. So you'll have to, when you go into, let me just go into Report Builder so that you all can see this quickly. You'll go into Report Builder, you'll select your project type, and then you'll see, we'll give it a second. Once it's selected, you'll see a list of medical items, a list of insurance items, whatever that looks like. You'll run that report, choose the columns that you want. If you want to choose criteria, you can do that. And then you can go ahead and upload a template. Once you do that, you'll come in here, you'll add that collection report there, and whatever template you've attached in the report builder will show up. Let me go back to my project. Sorry about that. It will show up in your medical section. You'll see that there's a Word option here. There's also an Excel option, depending on which report that I want data from. Maybe these are just a little bit different. I can come in here and click, instead of having to go to Report Builder and run the report, I'm able to just go directly from my medical section. I'm able to say, hey, I want this Excel from my collections. I go ahead and download it. And again, based off of what's in there, I'm able to pull up this template. If you do it with expenses, if your expenses are tracked as a collection section, then yes, you can do this. Any of your collection section options will show up. So let's go ahead and go back to Report Builder quickly. Let's see. There we go. So we'll see we have these small number of collection sections within our build. So for instance, expense request items, let's say that's our expenses. We can go in here, we'll choose our columns that we want to have in our report. So for instance, the one that we just ran, this collection example, it probably showed provider, amount, things like that. So you can go in here, you can check or add in the columns. And then when you go to save and export, that's where you'll upload a template so that it shows in the way that you're looking for it to show. And then, well, again, once you upload that report into here, it'll come over however you have that template, which is really nice. So as long as you have the fields available in the collection section, it will pull in and you're able to generate directly from that collection section, the content there. Let's see if we maybe have one in insurance. I can show you a different example. Looks like we don't. So you can tell because there's no Excel or Word icon here. It's just our fax icon. When we go into our medical section, you will see it. Again, there's a drop down for you to be able to select because we've uploaded to there. Our lien section doesn't have one. So you can kind of pick and choose which sections you want to do. And again, this just eliminates you from having to go into the report builder section and generate the report to get this content. Any other questions that I could answer for you all? Danielle, anything I missed?
No, I think you did great.
Awesome. So just kind of want to touch on our website just a little bit. While if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to pop them in the Q&A. But while we wait, the link that I sent is for this FileVine training videos landing page on our website. Again, we have a ton of free videos that kind of go a little bit more in depth. So if you're looking for how to run reports, do criteria, all of that, we do have videos on that. Our free help ones are specifically under this free help banner. But if you have if you're interested in QuickBooks options, you can click on any of these. Lead Docket, the FileVine add-ins, anything like that are all located here. If you're interested in retaining Vine Skills for any services, we do offer a wide array of services all related to FileVine. And if you are like, hey, we've been in FileVine for a while, we're probably not using it to the best of our ability, or we have, maybe we're not sure where to go next, we do offer a free audit. This will essentially, one of our teammates will go in, they'll look at your FileVine, they'll assess it for maybe fields that you all are not utilizing or underutilizing, or unique ways for you all to kind of make your practice a little bit more efficient. Those are free, again, for the audit. So if you are interested, you can always come in, click in here, and then they let you know, hey, which type of audit we do, how it works. And then if you do want to engage in a free audit, you can fill out the information down here. If you've seen some of this stuff and you're like, it would be great for us to have those collection section exports, or great, you taught us how to do customs editor, definitely don't want to do it myself, don't have the time, capacity, or anything like that, you can always retain our services. Somebody from our team can reach out, discuss your needs, and then set you up with an implementation plan or an optimization plan to kind of get those items completed as well. Again, I put my email and Danielle's email in the chat, so feel free to reach out to us if you, again, do want to retain our services, or if there's any questions that have come up after kind of our free help session there. We do also offer lead docket, demands AI field setup, SVDA, QuickBooks, the whole nine. We try to kind of cover it all. And so if you do have any questions about any of those automations or anything like that, we also do trainings, virtual and in person. So again, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you all. And then we definitely would love for you all to come to more free help sessions. So again, under that Learn tab, our free help link is located right there. We'll let you know kind of what the next couple of sessions are going to be. Next week is Ask Me Anything. I've seen a lot of folks just join to hear other people's questions, because it's helpful to see how other people are utilizing FileVine, what new tricks you can learn kind of there as well. So we hope to see you then. If you all have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. If not, thank you so much. And hopefully you guys have a great holiday. And yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks, Danielle.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.